Hey, this is Annie.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And welcome to another edition of Happy Hour. As always, if you choose to drink, do so responsibly. Samantha, what are you sipping on?
I'm sipping on bubble water, like cherry flavor.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
I have, I don't want to say what it is because I don't know if the company's any good. But it's a seltzer, a vodka seltzer, passion fruit. And I'm sure you can guess what it is if you are familiar.
It's good.
Yeah. I was just telling Samantha, this is something that was left over from friends of mine. We recently went on vacation. We do an annual vacation to the beach, and I got left with a lot of food and drinks, which is sort of a stressor for me, but it's also nice.
Kind of your nightmare.
It's kind of my nightmare. I'm trying not to panic. Which, speaking of, content warning. I wouldn't say this is an unhappy hour. Some people might disagree with me. I think this is a mixed bag hour. But I am going to be talking about a panic attack that I had. So I'm not going to go, it's not going to be explicit.
Okay.
But I know for some people, even getting close to that can be something that gives you your own panic. So just to put that out there. So yeah, we go on this trip. Every year, we go to a beach house that I'm very, very lucky to have access to, that my grandparents built. And it's getting sold. And there was a lot of tears because we've had huge memories there. We've been going for over a decade. So it was a kind of emotional trip. And I think I'm still coming down from it. I was telling Samantha, I am so tired. It impacted me more than it normally is. But it could be age, which we did talk about. We did do the Olympics, and it was wild because I know I talked about the last time we went and we did the Olympics, which is just basically like water balloons we throw at each other. It's like the stuff you did as a kid.
Perfect.
But there was definite lowering of performance since the last time.
Oh, no.
We did it. But also it was wild to think because that feels like forever ago to me. But here we are, another Olympics. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was we were discussing, we were just sort of catching up because some of these friends I don't see that often. We're like the kind of friends that you can see a couple times a year and you can just go. And it's like you've been seeing each other this whole time. Like it's like no time has passed. It's just a very solid friendship. But that means, sometimes when you see them, you're like, oh, wait, what's happened in your life?
Right.
So we were catching up, and two of my friends work in the medical field. And one of them trained in the medical field, but didn't end up working in it. So it's like a pretty medical heavy group. And I was telling them I had this massive panic attack probably about a month ago now. And it was the beginning of May. And I woke up and like there was pain in my arm and I couldn't move it. And like my face was twitching. I couldn't breathe. And my heart it was bad. And I was sitting there and I put on clothes because it woke me up, and I was like, okay, might have to actually go to the hospital. And I had 911 on my phone, and I just sat there and waited, and I wrote a note in case I died. And I unlocked my door so people could get in in case I died. But I never contacted anybody. I didn't do anything about it. And it messed me up because so many times in here we talk about, how the medical industry doesn't believe women and how that's been really internalized. And wow, I was shocked. I was shocked that I was essentially just waiting there to die rather than do anything about it. And then I honestly, this is horrible, and it also goes to my point. I was like, I can calm myself down. I'm going to breathe through this. And I was like taking all these steps of, I'm going to prove to myself it's nothing worse than a panic attack, because I don't want to go in if it's just a panic attack. Then I'll be embarrassed. So I'm telling my friends this, and they're looking at me and they're like, what are you talking about? You should have called me. You should have called me. Like, you should have done this. And they were all like outraged. They're like, we'll make you an appointment right now.
Love it.
But then the truth came out, Samantha. None of them have gone to get a checkout either within 5 years. And so it became a big conversation about like, why we felt like we shouldn't go, or we're just bothering people, or what if it's nothing and then I look like an idiot, like all of this stuff. And it was just really telling to me because, like I said, 3 of those people work in the medical industry, or have been trained in the medical industry. And then they kind of all came up to me separately and said this, like, oh, well, I'm being a real big hypocrite because I also haven't done this and I've had issues here. And then it became a group conversation. But it was such a scary thing to feel like the internalization of, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. I'll just write this note. That's the end for me.
Did you throw away this note? That's the question I have.
I did throw away the note.
Okay.
Because I had a second panic attack later that night when I was like, wow, you were just going to wait there. It was not
So the
good.
panic attack brought another panic attack?
The panic attack brought another panic attack. But, you know, the thing is, like, I've never had a panic attack like that. I've had panic attacks before, not infrequently, but that was new. That's why I thought it was a heart attack. I thought my heart was going to stop.
Yeah.
Because of the pain in my arm and, like, the twitching.
Yeah.
But when I told my medical friends, they were like, yeah, I mean, a panic attack can do that. And it did go away. But yeah, I should definitely go check it out. And I haven't.
That was the next question. I was like, have you actually seen a professional and had some tests done just in case that you did damage something because there was a small something that you don't know about?
Yeah, but no, I haven't. No, I haven't. I'm planning to, and like I said, our group, we jokingly, but I hope we can actually make this happen, said we're all going to like go on the same day.
Okay, good.
And get stuff checked out.
I'm about to be like your secretary. I'm like, do you want me to set you up an appointment? Because I think we have similar insurances and I can find a provider for you.
I would think we have similar insurances.
Since we're in the same company, yes.
But
you
who
would
knows?
hope. You never know.
It's a mess.
You never know.
We have been talking about a lot of medical issues lately. I know it's not fun, but it is something we all have to deal with in various capacities, because obviously outside of the US, it's different than what I'm talking about. Another thing I thought about, this is getting grimmer than I thought. I thought about calling a lift to the hospital because the ambulance is so expensive. But then I was worried I would die in the lift and I would traumatize the lift driver forever. So that's also why I didn't call my friends. I didn't want to die in their car. But I didn't call the ambulance because it's so expensive. And that's if that's a thing you're considering, though, that's our medical system. If you need another example of why it's messed up, there is one right there. But it's so strange. It's not strange. It makes complete sense to me. But it is interesting when I heard from all of my friends kind of the same, like, what? And then they all kind of secretly came up to me later and was like, actually, I haven't done it too. So, and we, like you and I have talked about on this show recently, which I think this is in part of why I had the panic attack. We have had instances in our family of hospitalization that were scary, and that, in my mom's case, really didn't go well at all, in terms of the care she received and the answers she got out of it. And so I think that both like helped cause it, but also kept me from going. It's not good. I know it's not good. I'm
It's
sorry. Oh gosh, but there was something about being confronted with that, truly believing it. Like, I know I'm laughing at it, but I truly believed I would die that day.
Yeah.
And just kind of shrugging and being like, all right, well,
let me write this note.
let me write a note. It was
Like, it's not
basically
gonna
like,
traumatize
sorry,
people
folks.
just in that. My bad. I was too stubborn to call 911, so whoopsie.
And then, like, one of my friends was like, do you think I wouldn't find it more traumatizing that you didn't call me and
Right.
I found your dead
Right.
body?
I mean, that's that. Like, I'm holding back from telling you exactly what they probably told you, in being like, what the hell? First and foremost, do you not realize that for the majority of people, just like you would, if one of us did that, would have just as many thoughts and feelings and guilt on that? A, B. But I think, yeah, again, this is that bigger conversation, because I'm the same way as my Monday Mini talked about with gynecologists, and like trying not to go and having to go because I'm afraid that this expired IUD could get me in trouble. The fact that you and I both in the last couple of years were like, yeah, I know if I do this, it'll take off like $50 per like paycheck for my insurance, but oh well. Which is a significant amount of money. And part of that is because I don't want to hear, like, all of my physicals are always perfect except for my weight. Every single time. I have one of the best heart rates. I have one, like all these things except for my weight. And then being like, I haven't had that as of recently, like what people would tell me. And I actually love the fact that they changed it to kilograms, because us in the US who use the pound system can't figure it out. So if we don't want to know,
Right. Yeah.
we don't have to know. But then when you convert it, you're like, well, damn. But they did that on purpose. I'm sure there's a medical reason, but I think partially because people were having such issues in seeing their weight and having that conversation. And then also people being able to opt out and not doing the weight, which I think is wonderful as well. But with all of those things, and again, not being believed about certain issues and certain pains, and because of that, we don't complain a lot. And then if we complain, people are like, no. And so you play it down in your own head. So there's so many conversations about what the healthcare system looks like and why it's so unwelcoming to so many. Again, some are wonderful. And from what I understand, the wonderful people eventually move on to get more money because they hate the system, the U.S. insurance system, which is fair enough, because we hate it too as people who can't get covered properly.
Yeah.
And the random bills later that I'm like, what?
Yeah. Ugh.
But all of that to say is, yeah, so A, it's too costly. 2, it's feels like it's a whole shame factor. And B, C, ABC, 1, 2, 3, we don't trust the system.
Yeah.
Because they don't trust in us. They don't like give us the faith to do that.
No. And we've shared story after story, the both of us, of like instances where we haven't been believed, or have been dismissed. And I think this was just a really powerful reminder for me of like, wow, that you have taken this to heart. And also, back when we did our trauma series, I know I talked about this, but this is true for so many people, especially women. I do have a huge fear of not being believed. So when this was happening, I was trying to figure out, like, what could it be? You know, doing the things I know a lot of doctors hate, where I'm online and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, Lord.
Every time.
This is happening and this is happening. So I was trying to figure it out. And it was confusing. Honestly, I couldn't figure it out. There were like three things I arrived at, and one was heart attack, mini stroke, panic attack. And I was like, I'm not, if it's a panic attack, I would be ashamed, which is, I shouldn't have been, but that's what I thought. And so I was waiting it out essentially because it had like the second stage of what happens. And I don't have a primary care provider. I know. I go to urgent care. And you're not supposed to go to urgent care if you're having a heart attack or a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they would take me, but they would just send me to the hospital.
Right. You need to go to the hospital.
Yes, exactly. So I would have gone to urgent care if I thought, if something that I had figured out, narrowed down, made me think, okay, they can treat it there. But everything was like, no.
And honestly, even if you did have a primary care physician, which I do, you will not see them for at least 2 to 3 months. You will set up an appointment, and within their damn line, they say, if this is an emergency, go to the urgent care or hospital. So you don't have that option. Having a primary care physician doesn't do again, U.S. system.
Oh, God.
And it's exponentially more expensive to go to urgent care, like 10 times the amount versus going to your care physician, and then probably 100 times the amount for ERs.
Yes. I wrote about this in our book. This horrible but true realization of living in a capitalist society is there's a certain rolling off the dice of like, well, what is my life worth here? Is it worth like going in and potentially owing all this money if it was just a panic attack? And then I decided it wasn't. So, and there's just a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack from that. But it is true. You think about that. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, it's going to cost me this much. And it's not a nice feeling, I guess. It's just not a nice feeling.
Well, I mean, I think for a lot of people, I've thought about that too. Like if I had a heart attack, as I've had some like chest pains recently, and I was like, oh no, what is this? And it's like, it could be gas, or you could be having a heart attack. These are the two things. And I'm like, I will not go to call an ambulance. Because apparently, I don't know if this is true. Someone tell me who works in emergency transport that they cut off their clothes. I don't want to be naked.
That did happen to my mom, but I think she specifically, this was when she was a teenager. But I think it's specifically because she had she was in a car accident.
Okay, maybe it's just with car accidents. I did hear that. So I'm like, I don't know what that's about, but that's traumatizing. I don't want that. Yeah. I know that if I'm dying, then yes, it won't matter. But for some reason, with the person like not in that situation, the thought of it is like, ah. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, the bills that go into an ER ambulance is so damn high, and it's not really covered. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you get a massive damn bill. Mm-hmm. And that alone was like, I'll just wait.
Yep.
Which is an absurd way to be.
Exactly. Because like, I feel like so often a lot of companies, because in the US, most of us get our insurance through our work, are so about preventative care. And I'm like, yeah, but if I go in, I've had this happen to me before where I thought something was covered. I was worried about it. I went in and it was nothing. It was fine. And then it was a pretty big bill. It wasn't like unmanageable, but I wouldn't have gone in if I knew it was going to cost me that.
Right.
And so it's de-incentivizing preventing worse outcomes. So it's,
And then that's not including different languages that people have to use to not be overcharged. Like there are languages that the insurance companies say, if they don't say this specifically, we're not covering it. B, we've had this small conversation about pre-existing conditions. So if you're actually diagnosed with it, the following year, they don't have to cover you. Like it's a trickery thing that it's like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not supposed to be legal. That's not supposed to be how it goes. But it kind of feels like it's fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, they still find their ways even though it's not supposed to be legal.
Well, I am glad you're okay. Somewhat disappointed that you didn't reach out either. Need you to do better. At least just call your peoples. At least call your friend that's actually in the field. Just a quick call. Text. I'm having the symptom. Should I worry? That's all you really need to do. I'm sure she would be fine with that text.
I'm sure. It's strange looking back on it. I don't know. Woof. Woof.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me have this space, everybody. I'm sorry if it got darker than I intended. But yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of people can relate because, again, in my friend group, everybody had their own, like, oh, well. Yep.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. So I'll contact them and we'll see if we can get this group appointment going.
I'm going to need that to happen. Yes, please. It might not be for 3 months, but at least just to set up an appointment.
Yeah. Well, all right. I look forward to all the listeners writing in. Like, what is up with you? That's the question. It's
kind of like that one person who reviewed us and said, I don't know who this person is, but she's got 3 jobs. Can y'all at least like pay her enough so she doesn't have to do 3 jobs? Like that was meant like.
My mom, she recently hung out with a friend of hers, very old friend she hadn't seen forever. And she's like, I Googled your daughter. And I said, oh, no.
Oh, no.
And it was all nice things. But I'm like, that's much better than, I believe when you and I first started working together, the top result for me was, she's so sad. Yeah.
We're getting better. We're getting better.
We're getting better. And it's thanks to you, listeners.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You've stuck with us, and we love hearing from you. So if you would like to contact us, you can. Our email is stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at MomStuffPodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store, and we have a book where I did talk about some of this stuff. You can get that wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina, our executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.